following is a paid issue advertisement.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won. It's not about what party. It's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
Paid for by RealAmerica.vote, a DBA of New York Citizens Audit Civic Fund, Incorporated.
Go to RealAmerica.vote.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Always such a huge honor when my friend, who happens to be not just the best president in my lifetime, but I'm telling you folks, the greatest president in the history of our country. Other folks say that. I've been saying that for the longest time. I think I started that, and I mean that. Man, we are lucky to have President Donald J. Trump as our 47th and was the 45th president of the United States. My dear friend, President Trump. Mr. President, how are you, pal?
Well, I'm great, Sid, and your show is great. I hear all about your ratings, and I do it because I like you, not because of your ratings, but the ratings don't hurt, right?
No, they never hurt. And I know you're so good to me. Bruce Blakeman was just in your office just last week. He's running, of course, for governor. You and him are dear friends for many, many years, just like you and I. Tell me what you think about Bruce's chances running for governor here in the state of New York.
Well, I think he's got a great chance. You know, Bruce won in Nassau County, which is unheard of for a Republican, and he's fantastic. I will tell you, I know him for a long time. He's always been a winner. And not only that, he just won in a record amount out there that, you know, if you really think about it, sort of a Democrat area a little bit, although I think he just turned it. But it doesn't matter. He wins by a lot. And I said to people, watch Bruce, just watch it. And how could people be happy right now? It's a very sad thing that's going on with New York in every way. And he'll bring it back. He'll lower taxes. He'll bring back safety. He'll get rid of the crime. Even in New York, I mean, he'll get the streets cleaned up. He'll have to do it because it just, sadly, it doesn't look like it's happening.
No, New York is a mess right now, and it's not really working, President Trump, under Kathy Hochul. And look, we need a lot of help at both the state and the city level. You know, I know that you've had two very nice meetings with Mayor Mamdani in the Oval Office, for example, but I got to tell you, President Trump, above and beyond all the anti-Semitism stuff, and, you know, obviously you talked about him destroying the city financially, we got a major issue in this city with the police, and you're a law and order president. You do an amazing job with that. You've made cities safe, President Trump, that were really unsafe right before you took office. This guy can't stand the cops. I mean, I've got sergeants and detectives and all kinds of people. They are leaving. The cops are leaving this city. How do I make an argument for that?
Well, I never knew whether or not that was, you know, real or not real. Maybe it's a political. I don't understand that political rhetoric because I think it's not good politics, frankly. But look, he came down to the Oval Office twice. He's a nice person. I really like him. He's a nice guy. But, you know, you can't tax people out of New York. When you tax people out of New York, you never get them back. They think they're going to get them back. Like she's trying to get them back now. You don't get them back. Once they leave, they're gone. And, I mean, you won't have a city left. You won't have a state left. It's a very dangerous thing that's happening right now.
Do you know Ken Griffin, Mr. President?
I do.
I figured you did because he's a very successful man, a great man just like you. And he wants to do a $6 billion project right here on Park Avenue. And who loves Park Avenue more than you? And you've got the mayor, this guy outside of his residence, and he does a whole film. And Ken Griffin goes above and beyond the fact that he just humiliated me. And I'm a billionaire looking to spend money in New York City. It's unsafe. He's doing a video from the front of where I live. And now Ken Griffin is thinking about taking that $6 billion project for a city, President Trump, that's $5.4 billion in debt, and taking that to Miami. How does that make sense?
Well, I do know Ken, and Ken's an amazing businessman, one of the best, and you don't want to lose people. He also pays a lot of taxes, like me. Right. We pay a lot of taxes, and you know when you lose people like that, it's sort of not recoverable. Always just say something's recoverable, right? But it's not recoverable. Then they build something else. They're going to be there for 30 years. They don't come back, and You've got to do the opposite. You've got to cherish them. You got to bring them to the office. You got to meet them. You have to have dinner with them. You have to convince them not to leave. You're going to make their life great. You're going to help them with their building, with their project. You got to do it. And I don't know if it's not hard to do, but maybe it is for some people. But you don't want to lose people like Ken. That would be a big loss for New York.
Yeah, and John Catsimatidis, your friend and mine, my boss, is another guy that they're making it life difficult for him. I mean, look, you said it just yesterday. It was brilliant. You called them Democrats. And I don't know if they're just stupid or evil. I got to tell you, President Trump, they're worse than stupid. They're worse than dumb. They're literally evil. I said this to you last time. I think Democrats are actually happy that 2 people died in Minnesota just so they can break your chops every day about ICE. I think they're happy about that. I don't think they really care about lives lost. The Democrats are not just stupid. They're really very evil, bad people.
Well, they get bad policy. I don't know if you saw, I put up something the other day on Truth. Truth is doing great. And I put it up on Truth. It's nice. So I call it nice. I had the word national in front. I call it nice. And everybody loved it, but I'm not sure that the guys liked it because, I think they like their image of being strong, and they've done a great job. They've done a great job, but I love the word nice. And so I said, if we called them nice, that would really ruin the radical left, the media, the fake news media. Every time they mention the name ICE, they have to say nice. And then I think they'd go crazy, one another too. But you have to get the guys that are wearing that badge to put it on there. But I love that idea.
I love that idea, too. We got to keep those guys safe, too. The fact that Democrats want to take their masks off and, it's bad enough. They're right there. I mean, look, President Trump, I love you so much. You're only 16 days away from somebody trying to murder you again. If anybody could appreciate what people go through when they're literally hunted in the streets. You said just yesterday, you like being the hunter, not the hunted necessarily.
Yeah,
you're 16 days away. Why would the Democrats want to put these law enforcement individuals in that type of harm's way?
Well, then you have a judge that's apologizing to him. I saw that. I read it in one of our good papers. It doesn't have to be local. It's all over the place where the judge is apologizing to him for, I guess, maybe something was a little bit wrong, but they never apologized to J6, the J6 folks that I, as you know, pardoned very proudly. And nobody apologized to them. It was terrible. But the judge was apologizing to a guy that really did have, he was an assassin who didn't pull it off. But people could not believe it actually when he went to court and the judge started talking that way. It was very sad.
It was terrible. So are you still maintaining your position, President Trump, that as you texted me that next morning, which was so sweet, by the way. It's so nice. You're just a couple of hours away from a possible disaster, and you're kind enough to text people that care about you back, which is a beautiful thing. But that morning, you were quick to give credit to Secret Service. You still feel that way?
Yeah, I do. Look, I think they're great. I know them all personally. And you saw what was on the stage. As soon as they heard something, I was surrounded by very large, very powerful people, and they were great. I think they were great. And they stopped him. They stopped him. Don't forget, he didn't even get down to the door. He was a floor high. But what became popular that night was I'm building a great ballroom for the White House, and it's highly secure, the highest level ever built. And guess what you need? You're going to need that. The world is different than it used to be. And by the way, things like this happened in the past too. This isn't the first time that you've heard the A word. You've heard that over the years quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous profession.
Yeah,
you should have told me that at the beginning. I could have taken a pass. Okay, but it's a dangerous profession. That's for sure.
You say you could have taken a pass. I remember in the first year when you became president, President Trump, 10 years ago, you said, "I never knew politics was this much fun." You still feel that way?
Yeah, I do. I love it because we have results like a lot of people are saying, even liberals. People very much leaning left, they're saying it was the strongest year in the history of the presidency, first year. And I think it was. On top of everything else, they ended 8 wars. And, Venezuela was like methodical. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And likewise with Iran. I mean, we've wiped out their Navy, wiped out their Air Force. It's just a question of time. We don't have to rush anything. We have a blockade, which gives them no money, allows them no money. And We just can't let, it's a very simple thing. Somebody said about policy, we cannot let them have a nuclear weapon because they'd use it. And if that goes off, you want to see a travesty. That would be unbelievable. So we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. And we won't. Yeah, we won't. And we've done well. We're doing well. And we got no tax on tips for people, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. We did, we've done things that nobody else has ever done. We've had a great first year. And our 4 years was fantastic. We had the best economy in the history of the country in my first 4 years. This is going to blow it away. You're seeing what's happening. But we have $18 trillion coming into our country in the form of investments, building plants, car plants, AI plants, all over the country.
The economy is already booming. People don't know about it.
Yeah.
They don't pay attention. But, I talk to the right people, the Larry Kudlows of the world, obviously, and Monica, and they can tell you how well the economy is doing. But getting back to Iran for a second, look, I don't know if they're ever really going to stop enriching the uranium. You go back to those two dopes, Obama and Kerry. Sorry, two dopes. They signed that deal. They thought they did a great job. It took Iran
what a horrible deal.
Yeah, one day it took them to actually go back on that deal. But do you really feel President Trump, I should say, forget about the Strait of Hormuz for 1 second, forget about regime change. Do you really feel in your heart of hearts that you can stop Iran from enriching uranium and never build a bomb? Never.
100%.
Okay.
They're going to stop. And they told me, the Iranians told me, and I deal with them, and they said that we're going to get the dust. I call it the nuclear dust because it's appropriate. It's easier for people to understand. And we're going to get it. The problem is there's only two countries in the world that can get it, us and China, because nobody has the equipment. Because when we bombed it, it was a total, that I was right, it was a total obliteration. The entire mountain collapsed on top of it. And they said, the Iranians told me, they said, nope, it'll be yours. But then they changed their mind. But they did say, because, they demeaned the B-2 bombers. Those guys, every shot hit. That we sent in Tomahawks from a submarine, they all hit. But every shot hit. And they demeaned the B-2 bombers when CNN starts saying, well, maybe it wasn't that bad. Iran told me that it was so devastating that no country in the world other than us, and they said China, would be able to, has the machinery to be able to get that.
I believe it. Now, one more on Iran, and that is regime change. Israelis want that. And there seems to be this ridiculous rumor. It's been going on for years, created once again, President Trump, by the horrible people on the left, which has you and Bibi fighting with each other every day. You guys are fighting. I know that's not true. I know you guys are very, very close, but they seem pretty dead set on regime change. Is that a possibility? Where are we in that situation?
Well, first of all, I get along great with Bibi. We've been partners in the true sense. You wouldn't have an Israel without the both of us. And you wouldn't have it without me. If I didn't terminate the Iran nuclear deal signed by Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? If I didn't terminate the Iran nuclear deal, it's one of the worst deals ever made. They would have had, it was a path for a nuclear weapon, and there was nothing you could have done to stop it. They would have had a nuclear weapon 4 years ago, and they would have used it on Israel, and they would have used it on the Middle East and maybe beyond that. So it was good. But the relationship that I have with Bibi is excellent.
I think we all know that. President Trump, Thursday is your big day. You're going to China. Seems to me, and of course you know about this more than anybody, that they want to play it both ways. On one hand, they need us because they need that oil from Iran, and as long as that strait isn't open, they're not going to get the oil they need. On the other hand, there's lots of rumors that they're providing weapons for Iran through the Caspian Sea, other outlets, Russians, by the way, providing drones. Seems to me like Xi wants to play it both ways, yet, he loves you. What's the real deal with this meeting coming up on Thursday with China?
Well, I think it's going to be good, and we do have it's good to have a good relationship. When I first got involved, China was just really taking advantage of us, and they're not anymore. And we do great with China, but we have a very good relationship, and a lot of advantages to us getting along. And if we didn't get along, you'd know about it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of advantage. I'll tell you what we have. We have the strongest. I built the military in my first 4 years. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world, and we're seeing that when you look at Venezuela. One day. And we have a great relationship now with Venezuela. They say, I poll at 99% in Venezuela. Can you believe it? But It's been, and now I have with Iran, which is the same thing. It's a bigger area, a bigger country, 95 million people. And we've wiped out their Navy. We wiped out their Air Force. We wiped out their leadership. I mean, to be honest with you, we wiped out everything. We wiped out anti-aircraft. You can flow on top as much as you want, as long as you want. Now, they probably built it back a little bit over the little ensuing while, but I think we'll get there with them. And 100% we get the dust. We get the nuclear dust, and we get the whole thing said. We're in good shape. And I will say this, look, 2 years ago, everyone was saying we were a dead country. Now they say we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. And we are. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world with the strongest military, the most successful country in the world. And you know what the ships are doing? They're coming up to Texas and Louisiana. They're loading up in Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska. And it's all good for us.
It is great for us. In fact, I said yesterday, President Trump, there seems to be this misconception there are three superpowers: the United States, China, and Russia. No. That's not true. There is one superpower: Donald J. Trump's America. China and they've got economic issues. Russia is still trying to fight a war. They're not really winning. Putin doesn't know one day to the next. Are they going to bomb me during my silly parade? What am I going to do? China's in big trouble, too. I maintain that only President Trump's United States of America is the only superpower left in the world today. How about that?
Well, China's strong, but we're stronger than China. We're stronger than any other country militarily. We have, it's unparalleled. You saw that. If you look at Venezuela, they have a very strong military. That was not just, that would have been a tough job for most other countries. We did it in one day. And now take a look at Iran, where they had 159 ships, their whole Navy. That's a big Navy, 159 major ships. Every single one of them is laying at the bottom of the sea. And they had a big Air Force. It's all gone. They had a big everything, and it's all gone. I mean, think no anti-aircraft apparatus, no radar, no nothing. They are militarily defeated, and they probably don't know it yet. I don't know. If you read the New York Times, if you read the New York Times, you think that Iran is doing well.
Yeah.
Think of it. They have no Air Force. They have no Navy. They have no leaders. And if you read the New York Times, you're saying, oh, they're doing fantastically. Same thing with the election. If you read the New York Times, you say, gee, is Trump going to make it? And then you see the results where I won the popular vote. I won every single swing state. The Times had me not being able to win the swing states, and I won every one of them. It's such fake news. And, the sad part is the credibility of the Times, and it should be great. I'd like it to be great, but the credibility's gone down so low, and otherwise you couldn't have won. If you get 93% bad stories, the only way you win is if they have no credibility, because otherwise you can't beat that kind of press.
No, you can't. And it's not just the Times. It's every network channel, President Trump. It's all the cable networks. I mean, they've already got us getting creamed in the midterms. I don't know how.
Yeah, no.
I got to ask you, maybe you can tell me, what exactly are these Democrats? Again, these are bad people. Hakeem Jeffries is a bad person. Chuck Schumer, he's a bad person. I'm telling you, President Trump, you're not going to say it. I'm going to say it. These are bad people. What exactly are they running on in November besides, I don't like President Trump? What else do they got?
Well, they have nothing, and they want to open up the borders so that criminals can pour in from all over the world, from the prisons, from murderers and drug dealers and people from mental institutions. And they want to have men playing in women's sports. I just had the Indiana football team national champions, and they had their wives, they had their friends, they had cheerleaders here. And these guys are massive guys. And, women were in there. They were half the size. They were less than half the size. I mean, the whole concept. You look at the weightlifting records where they're a record that stood for 19 years. It gets beaten by 150 pounds. The whole thing is crazy. But they stand for that. They stand for open borders. Let everyone come in. They stand for transgender mutilization of your children. Let your children be. It's mutilization. And many other things. It doesn't make sense. The only thing they're good at is they stick together and they cheat on elections. And they don't want to have, the Save America Act. Think of it. Save America Act. What is it? And you know it better. You know that act better. You've covered it so much.
100%.
All it is voter identification. And We want to make sure that you are a citizen of the United States of America in order to come in, right? And they don't want to do that. We want to have some checks on mail-in voting because, as you know, it's totally corrupt. So if you're in the military, you can do it. If you're sick, et cetera. But we have exclusions. But we want to have no mail-in voting if possible. And that's, by the way, the least popular, but that's polling at 79%. The other ones are polling at 97%. Citizenship, when you go, the Democrats had a convention, right? And they always say, we don't want to have any identification. Except at their convention, they wear a card like it's about a foot by 2 feet with a massive picture. You can't even see who's behind it. And it's a big card with every piece of information on it. It is so crazy, Sid. It's so crazy.
No,
we want to have voter identification. We want to pass this. But the Democrats, we need their votes. They won't give you votes. And the only reason they won't talk about voter identification is because they want to cheat.
Well, that's the bottom line. But look, we've been getting some good results. I know the couple of folks that you handpicked, Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, and others in the Supreme Court in terms of redistricting and other different issues in front of the court have not been 100% for you and for us. And I get mad when that happens, President Trump, because you picked them. Not that they have to agree with you every time. Too. I know you get mad at me. Come on. What are they doing? What are they doing?
I don't know. We get some disappointing votes. We had one on tariffs, but I'm able to do the tariffs, but I have to do them a different way, which is not as efficient. So I get to charge more, but it's just not as efficient. That was a very surprising decision. For just a few simple words, because in theory you have to pay the tariffs back. We'll fight that. But in theory you have to pay them back. If they would put just a little half sentence that you don't have to pay back anybody that's already paid the tariff, they would have saved the country with a half a sentence like that. In other words, if you paid, you don't have to pay it back. They would have saved the country $159 billion. They couldn't write the half sentence. The whole thing is crazy. But hopefully that's going to work out okay.
I think
we've gotten some. You know what, Sid? We've gotten some good decisions also. But the tariff one was very hurtful to me because I don't get hurt. I get hurt for the country. We were taking in fortunes from people that hate us, countries and companies that hate us, and they play right into their hands. So I think it's going to work out good. And we're doing the tariffs. We just have to do them a more complex way.
I would imagine that's going to be part of the discussion with Xi, too, and China come Thursday and Friday. Tariffs, yes, Mr. President? Yeah.
Well, we have, they're totally good. Look, we have $18 trillion being invested in New York. The other day I got a call from Eli Lilly. They're spending billions of dollars in new plants. I said, so why are you doing it? They said tariffs. Because remember, if they build their plant here, there's no tariffs. They said, we're doing it for tariffs. I knew that. I've known it for 25, 30 years.
You know what's amazing to me, too, as we wrap up this conversation in a couple of minutes, going back to the Democrats for a second, I'm in New York, and not that long ago, President Trump, we had an 83-year-old war vet, Vietnam vet, okay?
Right.
And he was thrown to his death on the subway tracks here in New York City by an illegal. By the way, the mayor never said a word. The governor never said a word. He was thrown to his death on the subway tracks. It was not long before or after Sheridan Gorman was shot in the back, murdered in Chicago, Illinois. We had about 3 of those in the same week. And I just don't understand what exactly do the Democrats need to see to figure out that ICE is deporting all these horrible people, murderers, rapists, drug dealers. They're keeping our cities safe. We've got Americans being murdered every week by these illegals. What else do they have to see?
Well, you alluded to it before, the word Democrat. So that's what they are. It's funny. The other day I was truthing something out, and I can't imagine such a simple. You just change the E to a U and get rid of the B because it's a little and you have Democrat. And I have had more calls on that. I've been good at names over the years.
Yes, you are.
I don't want to go into them because now many of those people are friends, so I'm not going to go into them. But I better not talk about them. But there are some like Pocahontas, like fake news is my term. I came up with a lot of good things, but the word Democrat, and the reason is I was talking about Hakeem Jeffries, a low IQ person, and the hatred he has for the country, and he says hey, I was unhappy with decisions of the Supreme Court, but you can't call it illegitimate. I would, if I made the statement that the Supreme Court is illegitimate, they would do numbers on me. They would go absolutely crazy. This guy said the Supreme Court of the United States is illegitimate. Anyway, I'm looking at some of his statements and the way he goes about them, and I think he's a very dumb guy. I think he's a guy with a very low IQ. And I just said he's a Democrat. He's a Democrat. Now, I think it's a beauty, but you never know. You never know about names. I do. People come to me, could you give me a name for my opponent? They say, give me a break. I have guys, politicians. They've been politicians for 20 years. They come to see me, sir. Could you give me a name for my opponent? I said, all right, describe him to me. But anyway, it's sort of funny.
Great.
But
that is great.
I think the name Democrat is very accurate.
No, I agree. And if you think about what may happen in 2028, which is a sad day for me because the day you leave, I don't know what I'm going to do. I talk about this with our friend Cindy Flicker every day. What are we going to do when President Trump's not here anymore? But, I love Marco Rubio. That's a whole other discussion. But the Democrats, I'm hearing Kamala Harris. I'm hearing AOC. Let me say it again because you have to say it. These are not smart people, okay? Forgetting about the fact whether they're men, women, black, white, I don't care. They're not smart people. These are the people, whether it's Gavin Newsom or Buttigieg, these are the people that the Democrats are going to put out there in 2028. It's an embarrassment.
Yeah, well, it's not good, and we do have a good bench. I will say we have a great bench. We have some great people, as you know, and we're doing great. The economy is going to be unbelievable as soon as this war ends. It already is. They said we just broke the record for the best stock market. 401ks are booming for people. And I think we're going to have... I had the best economy in history in my first 4 years, and I think this one's going to blow it. But I had to take a little excursion down to the beautiful country of Iran. I had to do a little excursion and get rid of the nuclear weapons. And by the way... Khomeini's not there. Soleimani's not there any longer. All those, what we had to do is incredible, but they have evil intentions. These people have evil intentions, and you can't let it happen. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. And people understand that. And if they did, they'd use it. They'd blow up all sorts of parts of the world. It could be us, too.
Could be.
No, we're not going to let that happen.
No, we're not.
Yep.
Two more quickly. Steve Scalise told John Catsimatidis, President Trump, and we're on AM radio here in New York. I know this is a lot less important than Iran, but it's really not because AM radio has served as an emergency signal, as you know, for many, many years. And you love our station.
And by the way, Cassimatidis is a great guy. He's a good businessman, a great family too. But he runs that ABC with love. He really is fantastic.
He is, and I love him
good.
too.
He's so good for the country. He loves. I listened to him last week. He loves the country. He's probably a tough cookie. I don't know, but he certainly likes you a lot.
Yeah.
I'd like to be your agent.
He's actually
I can sign you for anything. I want to be your agent.
Could we make that happen right now, President Trump? Could you be my agent?
Yes.
I love that.
But he's done a great job with ABC, and it's really you're very heavily listened to. Now you need the talent like you. In all fairness, John He can only do so much, but he's got a winner with you. That I can tell you.
We just got to keep that AM signal going. I love you. God, I love you. Thank you. Last one, and then we'll let you run here. Knickerbockers are in the Eastern Conference Finals. I had my guys this morning look up pictures of President Trump sitting courtside when he was just Donald Trump at a Knick playoff game. I found a couple. I got to go back a couple of years. Are you still a Knick fan, President Trump?
Well, I am, and I get along with Jim Dolan. I think he's a really nice guy, and he's entitled to a good team because he's suffered a little bit. And boy, some of these players have turned out to be great players.
Yeah.
And Philadelphia is a tough team. You look at them as a team. Their center, Embiid.
Look at
he's
you.
a big guy. And no, you thought it would be good, and they were winning by 35 points. It's great. No, I really like Jim Dolan a lot. I'm really happy for him and for the team. I think it's great.
You know who loves you the most in New York? And I'm with him all the time now. He's become my BFF in the Bronx. Randy Levine, you guys had that great. You had that great college conference. You and Mike and Marco and Tiger and Urban Meyer and Nick Saban and Randy Levine.
Yeah.
Levine loves you, President Trump. He loves you.
Yeah, he's a fantastic guy. George was very lucky when he got Randy. He was deputy mayor and he was a really competent guy. And George Steinbrenner saw it right away. And he said, I got to get this guy. And he took him from the city. Randy was one of the best ever deputy mayors. And George took him. It was a great move. But Randy's working to straighten out college sports now. You know, the NIL is a disaster. And Randy's working. Look, if he can't do it, I said, I'll give you the power of the Oval Office. I mean, we'll do whatever you want because you got to straighten out college sports. And now they have young quarterbacks that never threw a ball before. Practically, he's like 18 years old. They signed for $12 million, $14 million. The colleges are going to go busted all over the place. The whole thing is out of control. All because the judge, who had no idea what I think she was doing, but a judge, a very radical left judge, decided that college sports was illegal. I mean, and they didn't appeal it.
Nope.
They didn't appeal it.
Nope.
They should have appealed that decision. They would have won. And now it's a mess. What a mess. Because don't forget, you have football, but you also have fencing and wrestling and lots of other sports, and they're all being left out. And the ones that are hurt the most are women.
Yep.
Because they're cutting all the women's sports.
Yep.
Women are just devastated by this. All because of a judge that had no idea what she or he was doing. I think it was a she in this case. And they didn't appeal the decision, which is too bad. You know, it takes 100 years to build up a thing like that. And then they have it built up. It's a fine running machine. You know, kids got scholarships and it all worked out. And now you have a thing like this. It's really a mess. It's a shame. But Randy Levine will solve it.
Yes, he will. I agree. So do you realize, President Trump, that we just talked about everything from New York City to Iran to China to the Knickerbockers to college football to AM radio? This is why you're the greatest president of all time. And quite frankly, I believe the most interesting human being that God ever created. There's nothing you can't discuss. I swear to God, you're a genius. I love you.
Yeah, but while I was talking to you, you mentioned AM radio, and I guess what do they want to do? Take it off the cars or something?
Yes, they want to take it off.
I gotta stop that. Why are they doing that? You know, Sid, tell me.
I don't know.
Your listeners don't mind. I said, why are they doing that? Why do they want to take AM radio? It's so ridiculous. Why?
I don't know, but I know that Steve Scalise and Katsimatidis had the discussion, and Steve said the one person that can save AM radio, he called you the big guy, is the big guy. So when Sid talks to President Trump, make sure Sid brings it up. So I'm bringing it up.
Well, you know, I don't know if you know it, but I delayed it a long time in my first term. I delayed it, and it got delayed. But, you know, time flies, and now all of a sudden it's coming up again. They were going to do it in my first term, and I wouldn't allow it to happen.
That's right.
I'm going to have to get her. And that's the auto companies. They don't want to put it in the cars or something. I don't know why. But AM radio I could say the Democrats, because, you know, AM radio is sort of known as conservative. They have guys like you. They have good old Rush. We miss Rush Limbaugh, don't we? But yes. You have Sean Hannity. You have such great people. And it would tend to be right. It would tend to be conservative Republicans. So I guess that's why they want to do it.
That's your answer.
I think I just may be able to do another one. But I'm glad you mentioned it because, you know, it's not on my radar for some reason. And, like, you have to keep ABC around. I don't mean ABC because ABC television network is the worst. They are the worst of my opinion, they're the worst. But you're not. I don't even consider you affiliated with them at all. It's just but because John Catsimatidis has done a phenomenal job. He should run ABC television network. He should run the ABC television stuff. They are the worst of all.
They are, but this whole radio station loves you. From John Catsimatidis, who you're right is a great guy, to me, to Brian Kilmeade, to Greg Kelly, to Mark Levin. We're all on the station. Bill O'Reilly.
What? All good names.
Yeah.
Greg Kelly is great. Mark Levin is so great. Those guys are all really good. Every one of them you mentioned. It's just a special group. I'm going to look into what you told me about. Boy, this could have been a very good call for talk radio. No, really. I mean, this is the way it happens, you know, because that's not on my radar. And all of a sudden it gets done and you don't even know about it. But I wish people would have called me. But indirectly, you called me by calling me to be on your show, right? So I'll give you the credit.
Well, look,
I'll work on that.
You're a little busy these days saving the world. You know, not a big thing.
Well, we're saving it. Look, our country's doing. I'm telling you, Sid, we have the hottest country in the world, and we were dead 1.5 years ago with Biden.
Yep, we were.
Biden was a horrible president. So was Obama, by the way. He was a terrible president. He was a divider. And Biden he didn't know where the hell he was. What a terrible president. I'll tell you what, another 2 years or 1 year of that kind of thinking, we wouldn't have had, welfare would have doubled, and the 18 trillion that we're taking in would have been 18 trillion going out. And the combination, we would have had a destroyed country. It would have been a ruination.
Oh, I agree. And that's why you hear smart people say, and I know you were talking about it on Truth Social just yesterday, my favorite website of all, that Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan, possibly, I know you love Abe Lincoln too, you're a history buff, Mr. President, but Trump and Reagan, the two best presidents of all time, and you got to go a long way down that list to find a Democrat, right? Long way down that list.
Well, you do. There were some, but they were a long time ago. This is a different party. You know, the Democrats today are a different party. Today they're a party where they want things that you can't. Who would think of transgender mutilization of your children? If you ever brought that up 15 years ago, we will stop the mutilization of your children. You know, think of it. They'd say, this guy's nuts. What is he talking about? So, I don't know. It's a much different party than it was.
It's gone. One more, now that I got you for this long, and you're beautiful. Thank you. I'm really excited about the 250 birthday parties coming up.
Yeah.
I know you'll be here around July 4th there by the Hudson River. We got that big date coming up on your birthday, Flag Day with the UFC. So I know Monica Crowley's on the show quite a bit. She's so excited about this. And by the way, she's great. Monica's great. And love being with King Charles a couple of weeks ago. But if you can, like 60 seconds or less, give me the rundown of how exciting the big birthday is coming up for the United States and your role.
So we again have the greatest country in the world, and we're going to be having different events. One of the things, the great Dana White is doing UFC on June 14th at right in front of the front door of the White House, and building an arena with about 4,000, 5,000 people. You can't get a ticket. It's impossible. I've never seen anything like it. And we'll have 100,000 people next door in the big park right across the street from the White House, and it's free. And we have, as you know, Roger Penske is doing the whole thing with the IndyCar, and he's been trying to get it done for 25 years. I got it done for him. And we're going to have a race in mid-August. It's going to be unbelievable around the Capitol. It's going to be a sight like never before. And, you know, things that have never happened before. I'm very excited about, you know, the water fountain, you could call it. It's a combination of fountain, and it's also a pond, a big lake or pond, and they call it the reflecting pond. And it was built in 1922. It's been a disaster. President Obama spent $55 million and just made it worse. It was like throwing money out the window. And the cost to fix it was almost $400 million, and I'm going to get it fixed for a couple of $1 million. I'm going to build. It's not very complicated. I got my swimming pool people. I said, take a look. What can we do here? And they recommended us, and it is so beautiful. It's under construction now, and it's just amazing. We'll get no credit for it. This is the Woolman Rink on steroids. Okay?
I love it. I love it.
And it was going to take, by the way, it's going to take 4 years to build it. This is going to take 2 weeks. Okay, in 2 weeks it'll be better than ever before. So they'll understand when we finish it what we did. It won't leak. It'll be beautiful. It's a little thing, but it's a lot of money still. You know, when you can save $400 million, I'd say that's still not so bad. And create something that's beautiful. You couldn't even use it. It was a disaster for years.
Yeah.
But they didn't know what they were doing. Obama, Biden, these people were so bad. They were so bad for our country. And, you know, you get incensed. I know you so well, and you're incensed when you even talk about them. And Sid, they're worse, okay?
I know.
As bad as you think. They're worse.
Oh, I know. Obama was the absolute worst. Biden was, you know, God bless him, he was horrible, but he was also, you know where he was half the time. Obama, too smart of a guy to do all the horrible things that he did.
Yeah, not so smart.
Not so smart. Maybe you're right. And by the way, you're also
overrate him.
Yeah, very overrated. What? You're also less than a month away from the start of the FIFA World Cup, another big event going on while you're president.
And the Olympics, and I got the FIFA, and I think of it. I got the FIFA, and I felt so badly because I wouldn't be there because I was going to lead. You know, then they rigged the election. I also got the Olympics. I got them both. Yep. So. I said, oh, that's too bad. I got the Olympics, but I won't be president. Well, then they tried to rig the election, and I said, let's do it again. And so now I got them both, so that'll be good. Plus 250, which is going to be the most exciting of all.
All right, I got to let you run. You've got a meeting to go to, and Margot is going to be very, very angry with me, but I love you.
You'll be extraordinarily. This was supposed to be a 5-minute interview. I think Margot is, obviously, she's beside herself. But, you got to let these things run. This was a lot of fun and a good interview, and you got to let them run a little bit. You ever see with Kamala where they start screaming, cut. They want to get her off because she's such a disaster.
Yeah.
So, but with me, I like talking to my friends. Have a good time, Sid. Keep up the good work. Great ratings. Say hello to John. And I'll speak to you again soon.
I love you, President Trump. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid.
God
Bye.
bless you. There he is, the greatest president of all time, President Donald J. Trump. Amazing. What's supposed to be about 5 or 10 minutes? I'm going to have to text Margot right now. But President Trump and I, we get in these conversations and we cover everything. So thank you to the great President Trump. I'll take a short break. More of the Tuesday edition of Sid and Friends in the Morning right after these words.
77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. Your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.